In this session, VTIC's Head of Operations and Industry Development, Chris Porter, is joined by Tripadvisor's Melissa Laurie. Melissa is Principal Client Partner for Asia Pacific at Tripadvisor, with over 10 years of media experience working with some incredible brands in tourism, finance, hospitality, and technology. So let's jump into the session. We start with Melissa explaining Tripadvisor's start as a hotel review site, which is now much broader, including hospitality, experiences, attractions, and more. Enjoy the session.
And so what that means is that we are seeing a high frequency of usage of Tripadvisor every day by people in Australia. In fact, about 3 years ago, our business acquired a restaurant site called Dimmy. It was a Sydney startup, so maybe some people in Melbourne might not be as familiar with this brand, but it's a restaurant booking site, and we acquired that business, and all the restaurants now feature on Tripadvisor as well. We rebranded to The Fork. Hence why just gives you a little bit more substance in terms of why we do have such a big footprint within the hospitality sector. So reflecting more about the changing consumer behaviour, and I wanted to focus a little bit on the power of reviews. I mentioned earlier that I actually purchased a bike last week, and it wasn't cheap. It was, I wanted to splash out a little bit, and being in lockdown, I was like, oh, I'll, buy something, and then I could get really excited about when we're starting to get out of the lockdown. And the way that I went about buying the bike was that I actually went online. I read a bunch of different reviews, a lot of feedback. I watched videos as well, just to determine which bike I wanted to buy. And if you think about your own experiences as well, not necessarily just in terms of travel, but even going out to a restaurant, you might look at the reviews online, or even Google reviews. Or if you are looking to buy something off Amazon, I mean, even IKEA now, the reviews. And I think that we just need to be really clear on how consumer behavior is changing. And the reason I'm digging quite deep into this is because if you have reviews on every listing page would have a review, but if you have a business listing page on Tripadvisor, or you're listed on Google and you're on your social channels, that we need to be really mindful of the reviews or the testimonials that people are leaving, because they're really big pieces of information that other consumers are using to make a decision about our business. So how do people engage with Tripadvisor specifically? So we play in all facets of the path to purchase. And what I mean by that is that people come to Tripadvisor because they're dreaming. They're looking at social recommendations to determine where they want to travel to. So as an example, I've been looking at Gippsland and looking at the different imagery that travelers have left, the photos, to work out, do I want us to start mapping out maybe a wine tour and exploring that region. Again, planning, so people are reading reviews about trying to get a really good sense of that specific business. And then booking, people want to book with a trusted partner as well. And you sort of start to see this trend of credibility and trust as well, that is just so important for people in the current climate, given, I mean, even more heightened in light of what's happening with COVID-19 at the moment. And also what's critical as well, and I think I really want to really shine a lens on this, is also people are still connected to Tripadvisor or any other, other platforms as well when they're in that destination or that getaway as well. So think about when people are traveling to your region and having a weekend getaway, that they are booking experiences when they're in that region, or dining as well. So they're continually connected. How does this matter to you? By having a business listing page on Tripadvisor, you're able to play within all these different parts of the path to purchase as well. Before I dip into some of the Australian consumer insights, I might just pause here and take any questions.
Yeah, thanks, Melissa. We do have one which is probably more specific, but it's talking about the certificate of excellences that Tripadvisor passes out. the questions come through from Charmaine, who has been in lockdown since March and don't know when they'll be able to open. Will the algorithm adjust to recognise that they're have been closed for that period, and how will that affect their certificate of excellences?
Yeah, great. Yeah, great question. So just to give some more context there, so we announced our Traveller's Choice Awards this year, just a few weeks ago. But how are they're determined based on the quality and quantity of the reviews collected last year. So we're definitely going to be taking into account the impacts of COVID as well, and how it's affected travel and people being out and about to leave reviews as well. There's no firm decision at this stage, but definitely that's going to be a really key factor as we look at how we approach next year as well, with some of the certificates of excellence and Traveller's Choice Awards as well.
Yeah, great. More a comment from your bike riding. Tour de Vines has invited you to come out with them once they're up and running again. So that's just more of a personal offer for you to get out there and actually see the region with your riding. So you can take that up when you can. We're in Rochester, a small town with no real tourism group. We would like to increase the number of things to do. Is there a best practice to do this?
Yeah, there is, and I might leave that for more the back end, where I talk through some different tools that you could be using on your business listing page.
Great. All right, that's most of the questions at the moment. If you want to click through to the next section.
Yeah, great. So we have been fielding quite a few different studies in the Australian landscape. And so what I'm going to talk to you now is sharing what some of the consumer sentiment is in Australia. It's going to be starting off at a bit of a macro level, and then I'm going to take you through a journey, and we're going to get deep into what Victorians are telling us as well. And I see my role is helping you to validate. So what I mean by that is that there's a lot of chatter in the landscape. I mean, Tourism Australia's got a great view of what they're seeing, a lot of different consultancy firms as well, among other different travel partners. And so I really want to just get a little bit deep on just specific Victorian insights to really help empower us and give us the right tools on how to move forward. So look, it's no surprise that we're seeing a shift in Australian browsing behaviour from international to domestic. And I wanted just to set the scene and provide this framework with how we can, how we're looking at how people are browsing on Tripadvisor. So the green lines are domestic, and we can start to see a swing towards more domestic browsing for the Australian landscape. Still looking at Australian browsing behaviour, I wanted to really share with you what have been the trends when we look at year on year from last month in August. So last year in August, Melbourne was sitting just behind Sydney in terms of one of the most, popular destinations that Australians were browsing and looking at on Tripadvisor. So that includes all the content within Melbourne. And then when we looked at this data to compare year on year, Melbourne is sitting in the 8th position. And look, it's I just want to be completely transparent on what we're seeing. And it's most likely off the back of Melbourne going back into lockdown as well. There's a lot of different states that are just operating as business as usual. So I think what I want to share with you, and I guess my advice is that we really need to start to lean into our local opportunities. So if you're a business that was previously focused on international travellers and you're thinking about interstate travellers, I would highly recommend just focusing on Victorians predominantly for the time being, and just really shift your marketing to a local focus. What's more is that when I think about where we're sitting currently in August for this year, I think we need to be realistic about how we can be creative and work together as different business units. Like, this is a unique time, and I don't think we need to focus on just driving people to one region within Victoria. It needs to be very much about how can we position Victoria in the best light to local Victorians. So what I mean by this is that we are stronger together. And if we consider how Victorians are browsing, which is what you can see on the screen now, it's showing the top destinations that Victorians are looking at on Tripadvisor. We can see that there's quite a few different destinations. And so what I'm here to share with you today is that rather than us thinking about, okay, how do we just attract people to Geelong, or how do we attract people to Yarra Valley? We know that Victorians are going to be looking to take a longer holiday as well and explore the state. So I think we're best placed to position ourselves. We're working together. So is it about creating a road trip that goes across the whole of Victoria and it's centered on the best hikes that you can do in the state? Or is it about really honing in like wellness and really working together as a group or region together to really encourage that longer average nightly stay as well? So dipping into this a little bit deeper, what are Victorians browsing when they come to Tripadvisor? And a few things are trending across our experience pages. So this includes outdoor and nature and parks. And I guess it's no big surprise. I've been feeling it personally as well with not really being able to go out and explore. And I usually do hiking as well. So I haven't been able to hike. So I just can't wait to get out and explore Victoria again. Spa and wellness, it's been a very challenging time for a lot of people. We're all facing different hurdles. So again, that wellness aspect. So again, coming back to what I mentioned about the different businesses that we own as well, is it a matter of like thinking about how we can start to craft an itinerary that touches on these experiences that Victorians are heavily engaging with on Tripadvisor. Again, classes and workshops as well. So this could be something just trying to give you some inspiration of like, how can you start to think about being creative in what you can start to offer to local Victorians when the time is right and we start to come out of lockdown as well. And just to give you some more insight as well, what you're looking at on the screen with the Bendigo attractions is that this is what someone is looking for or searching when they're looking at attractions. And you can see that there's different filters such as things to do and tours and day trips, outdoor activities, etc. So again, by having the right details or your business details uploaded correctly to Tripadvisor means that you're going to be featuring in what's most relevant for your business. What's really interesting is that when we've been surveying Australians, is that there's a really big desire to actually take a longer domestic holiday. In fact, 32% said 6 to 9 days. And when we take, it'd be great if we could attract all the travellers directly to our region. But I think to set ourselves up for success as Victoria as one, I think we need to be thinking creatively, and that leads into what I mentioned just a moment ago. So how can we encourage people, given that international borders are closed, so no one's going to be going overseas So how can we encourage Victorians to actually start to consider these amazing things that you can do in the state? Like, now is the time for you to explore Victoria. And I think that's what's exciting. So rather than us having the mindset of, oh, this is really, doom and gloom, our borders are closed, we're behind every other state. I think we just need to pull up our sleeves and think about, all right, we've got a job to do, and how can we set ourselves up as a region for success? So again, just leading on from what I mentioned about some of the trends that we're seeing. So if we're thinking about drives or wellness, I think just crafting those themes into what we're communicating to consumers so that we can encourage them to take a longer holiday domestically. Again, I would also, we want to make it easy for people to plan and encourage them to explore even beyond 9 days, 10 or 14 days, which a high propensity of people said that they would are really willing to invest that time on a domestic holiday. A few emerging travel trends that we've uncovered with our Australian survey results, and some of these might not be too surprising for you, and I might double up on what you've seen in the landscape as well. But I want to dig a little bit deeper here and really take you a bit more on the journey of how we can be creative and leverage these insights. So the first one being that that people are showing a big desire for local experiences near home. And again, I mean, there's many businesses that were very much focused on international tourists. Maybe there were specialty chocolate stores and so forth. So thinking of these businesses, what about starting to think about local experiences? And when I say local, I don't even mean Victoria. I mean like in your actual suburb. If school holidays are coming up, think about what you could do within your local suburb. And especially if parents have been homeschooling, maybe they want to take their kids out where it's something interactive for kids. So maybe it is about making chocolate or going behind the scenes. We're all craving connections, right? So I mean, I'm married and I love my husband. It's been great, but gosh, I can't wait till I can get out and start socializing with other people in real life beyond my barista. So yes, connections is key, but I just want to take it one step further here and dig a bit deeper, because I was thinking about this as well. When I was listening to the news the other week about people that don't live with anyone, and maybe they're on their own. So could it be that you're thinking about different experiences, maybe small group experiences that maybe is targeted to those people that have are solo consumers or solo travelers as well? Another trend that we're also seeing is travel pods. And this is something that is sort of come off the back of the States, actually. It's quite interesting, is that families are actually starting to look to join with other families and hire big villas. So again, it's that social distancing. It's a way that they can just have their own space as well. So again, just going through that, like thinking about tours and experiences as well. Start to think about different ways that you can position yourself. So maybe it is specific family experiences for whether it's smaller groups or really big groups, or even, I mean, I'd encourage you to start to look into this travel pod trend as well. When we think about road trips as well, we don't have a big rail network here in Australia. We're very unique. And then also I think we're all pretty familiar with what's happening with air travel here and the impacts with Qantas and also Virgin, Tiger and Jetstar as well. So road trips is going to be huge, but I wanted to just take this a little bit further as well, and lead on from what I mentioned about working together as a Victorian region, is thinking about, if we know that people are showing an appetite to travel for 6 to 9 days or 2 weeks around domestically, how can we encourage Victorians to stay in Victoria and not even start to think about going to a different state when borders start to open? So again, I think it's about thinking about working together with, maybe it's a road trip from Mornington all the way up to the Yarra, and maybe it's stopping along at the best wineries along the way. So I think that this is a way that we can leverage this insight of road trips and really start to craft different ideas and give people, inspire people that we live in a phenomenal state and there's so much to do here. And we're so lucky to be in Victoria. Another point is planning a staycation. And this is, I mean, if you said staycation probably last year, I don't think many Aussies would have really gelled to the idea. Why would you want to plan a staycation when you could travel to Bali and all these other destinations where it's often you get a little bit more bang for your buck? I think that where I see the value here is with staycation is not for hotels to really start to think about, given what's happening with the restrictions and impact of international tourists not being in Victoria, not only this year, but it's going to impact next year as well. So think about with staycations and broadening it out from not only weekends, but what about staycations where it's during the week, where it's actually targeting people within the local community, where it maybe it is just a couple that want to actually have a break from being at home on a Wednesday night. And I think that is that's how we need to be thinking creatively with how we can really respond to COVID-19 and the fact that we've all been locked up and things are different and people want different experiences and are willing to try different things. So again, so I think hotels should just be considering staycation packages even during the week. Another idea also is thinking about if you in your community working with different businesses as well. So if we know that a business is struggling, I know I mentioned about that chocolate business as well. Could it be that there's chocolates featured at the hotel or part of an experience? So I think just we need to band together as a community. There's a few important factors that consumers also fed back on in the survey. The first one being they want to avoid crowded places when they're traveling. And I work with Disneyland, and their park still isn't, some of their parks still haven't opened all around the world, but they've been really thinking about what is Disneyland going to look like and how they're going to restrict crowd limits. And I just think that if you've been to Disneyland, it is so busy. It is crazy. It is crazy busy. And the feedback I've heard in the marketplace is that consumers are like, oh my gosh, finally, like you can go to Disneyland and you don't have to wait for a ride for 2 hours, or it's just less crowds. So my inspirational pep talk is, if Disneyland can do it, we can do it. So how do we encourage give people the confidence about areas not being crowded? There's ways where you can actually just map out on the floors to ensure social distancing is abided by, and also just start to communicate how you are managing the crowds. Is it a limit on how many people can experience your bike riding tour, for example? Or is it, my favorite, I think, with wineries at the moment, that wineries encouraging a booking system so that people are booking in, so it's not crowded at a winery as well. And I think that people are going to appreciate that, because that again is that emerging trend of consumer behavior is changing, and health and safety is at the forefront of that as well. Cancellation policy and online bookings as well. So I guess this leads on to even the winery example as well, just making it easy for people to book into a winery to do a tasting, and also flexible policy. And I think, I was very ambitious, and I thought that this travel bubble would happen with New Zealand. And quite a few months ago, I actually booked to go to New Zealand in November. So, luckily I booked with booked and have flexibility included in my ticket and the hotel and everything. But I think that we need to just be mindful that people are a little bit uncertain about what's going to happen, especially with leading into Christmas. So if you could have, if your business allows for that flexibility, some ideas are you can book now, but you don't need to travel until this time next year. Be really transparent on that, because that is something that's key and on the minds of consumers. Also, businesses with clear hygiene and sanitation practices as well. So people want to ensure that if they're dining at a restaurant or cafe, that there is those, that it is safe, and that they feel comfortable as well. So on that point, I really wanted just to dig into this a little bit deeper and just talk about safety, because it is critical now that we are in lockdown and hopefully restrictions do start to lift, that we are thinking about the health and safety, not only for us as business owners, but also for our customers. And so what we found is that 68% of respondents that were surveyed said that they're not going to travel or visit a business until they see physical changes that have made them feel safer. And in fact, 74% of people said that a checklist of safety measures on Tripadvisor would be really helpful, so people have the right information to make a decision. We've listened to what people have told us, and only last month, we've launched a whole suite of safety tools on Tripadvisor. So this means that, like consumers can search for a luxury hotel and filter for a luxury hotel, or they could filter for budget-friendly accommodation, or they could filter the restaurant pages for Indian restaurants. People would now be able to search for COVID-19 properties or restaurants that are taking safety measures. Another point I just wanted to bring to your attention is, as well, is that when people are leaving reviews as well, we're asking them more questions about the safety measures that businesses are taking in their business, so that we can start to make sure that we're surfacing this information and sharing it with the community. And that's what you can see in the yellow rectangle there. So how can you be part of the Safety Tool initiative? So what you're looking at is the Sheraton, and they've actually gone into the back end of their management center, which you can all do. It's free. It's absolutely free. So jump into your management center and you can see a lot of the different, parameters that you can choose. So this is a screenshot of the management center, and you can see that there's quite a few different things that you can choose from. So as an example, when I was having a look at this, you can actually choose the option where your staff or customers are wearing face masks. Are you actually mapping out social distancing on the floor? Are the bed sheets washed in a certain high temperature wash, etc.? So you're able to go into this platform, tick what applies to you. And what I also love about this, if you can actually just see at the bottom there, it says share more details. You can actually include a little bit more detail and link people back to your own website. So I just wanted to repeat that because I think it's really key that you can actually link people back to your own website. So again, thinking about Tripadvisor, by having that your listing page on the platform and it's updated, it's almost like driving organic search back onto your own business website. Sharing a screenshot from Century House Resort Motel. And these guys are based in Hillsville in Victoria. And I wanted just to share with you what they've done. So they've actually, they've updated their travel safe COVID-19 details. So when a user arrives on their listing page, they can click that read more, and they'll sort of just be taken down a little bit just to see the travel safe during COVID-19. And so what they've chosen is that all linens are sanitized in high temperature wash, hand sanitizer available to guests and staff, etc. And then what I mentioned about filling in your own details is that underneath a note from the house resort motel, they've included a little bit of information. And what I love about this initiative that we're taking at Tripadvisor is that people have the opportunity to ask more questions and reach out to your business directly. Again, I think it's just critical that we are giving people as much information about the safety that we're implementing into our businesses to give them the confidence to visit our business or buy our product or service. We also launched a new initiative, which is new contactless menu. This only launched last week. And if you think about when you go to a restaurant or cafe, a menu is touched so many times. In fact, one of my pet hates is when you go to a restaurant, and sometimes you see the salt on the table and you have to use your fingers to grab the salt, which I can't imagine that's going to be happening anymore. So I'm really happy about that. But in terms of menus, businesses or hospitality businesses can upload their menu to Tripadvisor. Again, it's free. They can generate a QR code, which you can see in that image, which is what a QR code is, and it can be used in the business. So this means that people, your customers, don't need to touch a menu, that they can bring out their smartphone, they can scan the review and bring up their menu on their personal device. And this is a way that businesses can not only protect their customers, but also their staff as well. I'm just going to provide a brief summary on some of the key highlights I've shared with you with the insights. And the first being that 70% of people said that when they are planning their next trip, that they're going to be more planned and book in advance. And I think that this really comes back to the point of the little bit of uncertainty. And then also to another point, in my personal view, is that we've got a few weeks until some of the restrictions hopefully start to lift. So there's maybe a little bit more time with planning, a bit of dreaming going on. So really, let's start to think about how we can really play into that mindset of getting Victorians to look at traveling around Victoria, really positioning as this is the time to really get out and explore Victoria. Like this is the best time to do that. So that's what I would encourage you for us to also think about. 73% say that when thinking about their next trip, they will seek quality for money rather than the lowest price. I think that it would be really important to think about how you can package up your offer and really show value, not discounting. I don't think that discounting is the way forward because quality is key, but even just working with maybe another local business as well and thinking about how you can create value together with a product. And considering that international tourists are very unlikely to be in our state this year and for probably a good part of for next year, it's going to be pretty saturated here. We're going to be vying for all the same local domestic market. So rather than competing with one another, let's try and see if we can work out what's our assets and really create some packages that really set us apart from the different states. Consumers also will be planning for local weekend getaways. Okay, yes, definitely. People are going to be out and about on the weekends. I want us to really start to think about how we can get people to take 6 nights or 10 nights and really explore Victoria. People shouldn't just be going on the weekend. We really need to do a good job encouraging a longer average night stay. And also road trips, as I mentioned, with the different themes. Let's start to think about how we can tie that in. We love our coffee, we love our food, getting out to outdoors. How do we start to craft these different road trip experiences and encourage people to explore Victoria? And again, hotel staycations, some hotels or bed and breakfasts. Think about how you can put that package that up for a weeknight stay as well, and really maybe even target couples during the week so that they could just have a break from their home. Because personally speaking, I would love that. I would love to go to a hotel and just have a nice night, and then still just come back home and work from home the next day, and just a midweek getaway. So some different ideas for us to all think about. Before I move into some of the tools, I might just might pause here for a moment and see if there's any questions.
No, some really great insights, Melissa. Thank you for sharing those. There are a lot of questions that are coming through, but I think some of them will be answered by your next section.
Okay, great.
Business small advice. And I think what I'm seeing from the questions that are coming through, there is some real value in us, as we spoke about at the top, around how we do a bit more of that deep dive and look at some of that general business advice that businesses are actually asking through the questions here. There is a question around contact, and people are struggling with particular how things are working. Who should they be reaching out to? Is there a local contact that people can get in touch in without giving your mobile and home address away?
Yeah. So I guess it just depends. I guess if it's with business listing pages, there's definitely a customer service contact. So I can actually share those details, post this as well. And then anything for advertising, for example. So my role is working with different businesses and I help with their advertising strategy. That would be myself. We've got my other colleague that is based in Victoria. She looks after the experience arm. Yeah, there's a few of us here in the region that are here to help support.
Yeah, we might.
But I think
get
customer service.
Yeah, we might get some
key.
of those details and share those afterwards for people who can just need that specific advice for their business. There is a question here you were mentioning before around the QR codes. Is that a mechanism that Tripadvisor is developing, so they provide the QR code, or how does that work exactly?
Yeah, 100%. So it's something that we launched last week, and it is a mechanism. So you upload your menu, and then we will generate the QR code for that business owner. So pretty much you upload your details, and then you just download the QR code that can be positioned in your business. And
there was a question around cancellations, and you're talking a bit before about the cancellation policies. With booking accommodation, is a recommendation of how many days prior to check-in date for offering free cancellations when you have the one property as opposed to multiple rooms in the same location? What's your advice around that?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. I would... The example that I used before with New Zealand is that I booked with Luxury Escapes. Actually, they had a great offer in market, and their flexibility is until next year. I think it's up until you can make changes until October next year. And I'm not saying that needs to be that lead way, but maybe it's something about, rather than just doing cancellations, maybe it's something, I think, considering like, you can make changes. So you can encourage people to, maybe they can't travel at that specific date, but I think it's maybe just thinking about how you can still maintain that customer relationship and think about it more long-term. So rather than us just thinking about the next 3 months, for example, thinking about, okay, well, how can I show some goodwill? Because there's a lot of uncertainty, and maybe it's like, okay, well, we can be really flexible on the date and actually shift it until another time, maybe next year. But again, I think it's just a matter of, just looking at your business and what is also achievable as well. And if it is a matter of maybe 2 weeks before the booking day, I think there's just different ways to approach it. But I would encourage that for that person that the question came from as well, is just having a look online. And
we lost Melissa.
Not necessarily here in Australia, like just have a look at what they're doing to pitch that cancellation up.
Yeah, fantastic. I know we've only got about another 12 minutes left, Melissa, so we'll crack on to the last section, because I think that might be some areas that would be of high interest to everyone that we've got on the line. Yeah,
excellent. So I'd like to just preface this, that the next part I'm about to take you through, as I put it together specifically for today, but generally when I run these sessions, which really focus on the business listing page, is that I usually allocate about an hour and dig in quite deeply. So this is going to give you a bit of a taste, and if there is appetite, please feed back to the guys, and we can look at scheduling a session in the coming weeks. What I wanted to share with you is that attention is really scarce. We have an endless amount of resources available for us when we're thinking about travel and planning and different experiences. In fact, just focusing on Tripadvisor, there's many different ways that we can reach different consumers on the platform, whether they're more price conscious consumers to consumers that are really after that super luxury. We can reach consumers that are families. So these are people that have been searching for restaurants that are family friendly, or maybe a accommodation that's got a kids club. We can even target people that have pets, because you can actually search on Tripadvisor for properties that you're able to bring your pet to. So if there was any appetite to explore advertising and you wanted to look into these different types of segments, that's something that I can definitely help support with. In terms of how we create these audience segments and how people are finding your business, what you're looking at in the mobile phone is the different ways people can filter on Tripadvisor. So if it's a luxury traveler, they can actually search for accommodation that's over $600-700 per night, versus budget might be less than $100. In terms of outdoor activities as well, you can kind of get a sense of how we've structured the platform to make it really easy for people to filter and search on Tripadvisor. So in that screenshot, there's a golf course and hiking and air tours, etc. So the first tip I'm going to share with you, and I've got 4 in total, and I'm just conscious on time as well, so I'm going to keep a little bit of momentum and we're talking through these details, is claim your business listing page. So anyone can actually create the listing page of the business, but you as the business owner get to actually claim the page. So go into the page, check if it's been claimed. So how you do this is just scroll to the bottom and you can see claim my business page, and just make sure that your details are up to date. And I want to just draw on an experience that I'm sure that a lot of us have had, where you turn up to a business, say it's a restaurant or a cafe, or in my case, when we were out of lockdown, was a beautician, and they actually had the wrong opening hours listed online, and it can be really frustrating when you when the details aren't up to date. So my advice to you all is just take a moment. We're all in lockdown at the moment. Just do that sense check and check that the business details are updated. This is a screenshot for Big Four. And I wanted to share with you that their details that they've got updated. When you scroll down on their business listing page, you can actually see all the different property amenities. So if I was a family and I was traveling with my kids, maybe the fact that they've got a hot bath, that's great. So I can give the kids a bath, or the fact that there's high speed free internet as well. Maybe I'm looking to go away for that weekend, but then I might take a few days off and actually work from the property as well. So just ensure that you've got all your details updated and you're really positioning your business the best you can. And this can be done through the management center on the back end of Tripadvisor. Map integration is key on our platform. We're seeing a lot of people actually starting to search using maps. It's actually powered by Google, but all the data in the map is actually, or the points of interest I should mention, are actually based on the Tripadvisor listing pages. So I was actually just having a look around Mornington, Peninsula, and I've actually clicked on RSCV Cape Shank, but you can see that I can actually search by all the different hotels and restaurants. So again, it is just critical. Please have the right opening hours listed, your health and safety that you're implementing into your business. Make sure these details are updated so that the right information is being surfaced to people looking within the region. And it's free. It's a free way for people to find you. And again, please also take this advice, not only for Tripadvisor, but even other platforms, Google. Make sure your details are uploaded on Google. Same with your social pages as well. I know that personally, I will go onto business Instagram page and maybe look at their opening hours or even some of the imagery as well. So just, yeah, make sure that there's that synergy across all different platforms, especially as it is going to be key with people being a little bit unsure about us all coming out of lockdown. You know, do you have new opening hours? Are you going to be doing shorter days? So just make that very clear to the community. Tip 2 is that customers really want to see exactly what they can expect from your business. So you have the opportunity to tell your story through imagery. So this is an example of Queenstown, a hotel there. And what I love about this is that they've got an image that aligns with, I mean, I know we're in spring now, but in winter. So it's someone having a beautiful wine, it looks really inviting, and it's the fireplace. But keep it in mind that people are not just booking holidays or getaways or looking to go to that your restaurant at that specific time. They may be just dreaming and thinking about maybe even next year. So what I love about this hotel example is that as I flick through the images, that they've actually got imagery to show what it looks like in summer. So my recommendation is for your business, definitely you can actually determine the sequence of the imagery. So you can actually upload photos, put the images that align with the seasons up front, and then also the other seasons more at the back. So it just gives people a really well-rounded view of your business. Include a variety of images. I took this example for Bridge Road Brewers. I love that they've used photos of the food. They've got the Traveller's Choice Award logo there. There's pictures of people enjoying the food as well. So if you think about, I mean, the example of families as well, maybe if you know that you've got a lot of space for a pram or there's a playground for the kids, make sure you're showing that and telling that story through your images as well. Use different types of images. So this is a classic shot of a car for a private wine tour. I think it's a really nice way to engage people that are looking at your page as well. So even thinking about wide angle shots or a view of the scenery as well, just to really give that, again, well-rounded view. And also I might just add on there is just considering putting people in the images as well, because we see on Tripadvisor that people when they're in the advertisement really resonates quite well. Commit to listening and respond to customer comments. And I just wanted to just share a little bit about how people do read reviews. They don't rely on just one review isolation. We find that people are really reading about 6 to 12 reviews to get a really good overview of that business. Also, people are paying attention to the response that you're writing in a review. And again, as I mentioned, I'll just preface this, that I usually go quite deep in this section. So again, if there's appetite, please just feedback and we can actually set up a separate session and really go, I can give you the tools with how best to answer some of those tricky reviews. The example I wanted to share with you is Yubby Lake, who is just down the road from where I live. And I love this, I loved how the manager responded to this review that was not really favourable. So the manager actually thanked the person for the review, welcomed it, really appreciated it, and actually mentioned that they can reach out directly and discuss further, and that they would love to make it up for them. So really just commit to listening. Maybe it is something that was an error at your business. Maybe it wasn't, but just really be open to the feedback, because as I mentioned before, people can't just, it's not like social media where people can just upload a comment. People need to actually be logged into Tripadvisor, answer quite a few questions before they actually leave a review on your business listing page as well. So really appreciate the time that someone has taken. Encourage reviews to increase your online presence. So again, just think about not only Tripadvisor, but other travel platforms as well, or even dialogue on your social pages, that when people are reading the different reviews on your listing page, that you have an opportunity to respond. So what I love about this this example here for the botanical gardens is that in the popular mentions, there's a lot of people asking about the children's gardens. If there's reviews about that, you could even feedback if you were this business about, yes, the children gardens, we've got a gardener that's been working with us for X amount of years, takes a lot of care with the gardens, and maybe we actually have this exhibition coming up in next month. So it's just a free way that you can keep plugging different experiences that are taking place within your business, and how you can be clever. So just to recap, what we've spoken about is that I wanted to really get across with you what we're doing at Tripadvisor as a business, and how we really want to help support all of you with the safety tools that are available, that you can start putting on your listing page from today. Also with the travel insights as well, and what we're seeing in Victoria. And I think I just really want to focus for us to really consider about how we can be stronger together and work together as a region, and maximizing your brand on Tripadvisor. From what I shared with you with today, I understand that was quite quick to move through, but hopefully that just gives you a bit of a flavor of what's possible on Tripadvisor. And if we do look at going a bit deeper here, that we can at least you can sort of test out a few of the different tools as well. And on a final point, if you'd like to connect with me on LinkedIn, it's just my name, Melissa Laurie. I also launch a video once a week. It's really short. It's just called Travel Watch on Fridays, and it just breaks down some of the cool things that are happening in travel, and just to help give us a little bit more energy in tourism. So thank you so much for joining today, and I really hope that you found value with what I've shared with you today, and look forward to visiting your business soon when we can get out and about in Victoria again.
Thank you, Melissa. And it was a really great session, and so much great content in there that I think one thing that it has shown from the questions that have come through is that there is a real need and desire, I think, from industry's perspective to go into that deep dive and cover off on all those particular points of consideration that businesses are looking at. There's a lot of questions around how can they best access the COVID clean, and then what does that mean for their business, and the QR codes. There's how do they engage more with their destination and own the assets in the destination and things. So there is so much content there. So what we'll potentially do, Melissa, is take the questions offline and work with yourself potentially to provide some answers to those. I think there'll be good opportunities, and almost like a first instance to cover off on some of those and feed those back to participants out of this session, if that's okay with you. But thank you to yourself and Tripadvisor for your time this afternoon. Now,
excellent. And I guess I just might hop in there, Chris, as well, is that I'll actually also share a link which has got a link to our insights, and I'll and just take the time just to click on that, and you'll see a lot more detail about the safety tool initiative as well. But yeah, happy to help support where I can, and I really enjoyed putting this together for everyone.
Yeah, and we'll continue the conversation between the two of us, and hopefully be able to offer more of these insight sessions with a real focus on Tripadvisor and how our members and businesses can actually get more out of the platform and things. So thank you. Just finally, before we wrap up this afternoon, everyone, our next upcoming Insight series will be on a Wednesday in 2 weeks' time. So that'll be the 16th of September. Which will be delving into crisis management and looking at managing a COVID-19 outbreak within your business, which is critically important to understand as restrictions are eased. Unfortunately, we're going to be living with COVID-19 for the next little while, and it's a critical element that all businesses should be across. So the event is now up on our website, so jump in to that to register for that session, but we'll be sending out some more information and our speakers in relation to that in the next week. So thank you everyone for your time today in joining this session. Thank you very much to Melissa for joining us. And we hope you all enjoy the first day of spring. The sun is shining, and yeah, we look forward to hopefully bringing some more news around the roadmap to recovery in the coming days and weeks. So thanks everyone. Have a great afternoon.